who you are.
Sure. Hi, my name is Jacob. I'm a Canadian citizen, but I'm originally Polish. My whole family is still in Poland, and last year, in May 2022, my mother passed away, so I made everything possible to attend her funeral. And from the very start, it was very difficult because the government didn't want to help at all, even for compassionate reasons. In May 2022, it was the time when the measures were lifted for vaccinated people for COVID-19. However, they were kept for unvaccinated people. But it was known officially that both could get the virus, and get sick. So there was no scientific or medical ground to keep it. It was merely a punitive measure. Okay, before returning to Canada, I was obliged to fill out a form in Arrive Canada application and declare whether I was vaccinated or not. And then this application would tell me, okay, you have to self-isolate. So then I believe that based on this information, I was entered, my information was entered into the system, and I was supposed to self-isolate for 14 days. But one day I was just climbing the walls, and I decided that I need to clear my thoughts, and I took my car and I was just driving around, and I was stopped by the cop. He was surprised. We had a short conversation. He checked my license and then he gave it back to me, told me to go back home, which I did. At the time, he didn't hand me any ticket. He said nothing. He just told me to go home. I went home, and 15 months later, I got the ticket, $6,250 ticket in the mail. He didn't say it. He was behind me, and this is a common practice, I believe, that the cops are scanning plates randomly. So he must have just seen it in the system that he didn't tell me. He just said to me, "Is it your car? Are you Mr.?" And I said yes. And why aren't you at home? And then I tried to explain why.
How was your reaction when you get the ticket in the mail?
Nothing surprises me anymore here in Canada. So I thought that maybe I met a human being at the time, that maybe he didn't report it. And I'm a healthy person, because guess what? To be able to travel to come back to Canada, I needed to have a negative COVID test result. Well, he reported it, and it took the Crown almost more than a year just to send me that ticket. And now I have a court case. It's in December, on the 20th of December, 2023.
Want to have your thought on the fact that your ticket is on the criminal and penal department. How do you feel about that?
Well, how do I feel about it? I'm a law-abiding citizen, and all I did was to attend my mom's funeral and to drive my own car. And I wasn't even speeding. It's wrong, and I contest this ticket. To be honest, I'm not sure about my approach, how to fight it, because on moral grounds, I would love to go there and say in the courts, this is wrong. I have done nothing wrong. And crossing the border here in Canada, it was a nut house. The airport was just completely crazy. And there in Europe, it was a completely different world. People were free already in 2021. And so they don't understand. They were never oppressed by the state as much as we have been. I'm a little bit afraid and concerned about the future of my kids, because the thing is that the people that have done it to us, they're still in power. I had a few responses, but not from the politicians. You are the third one to respond, and I'm very grateful for that.
Can we know like who did respond to you?
It was the Democracy Fund, and I think the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Actually, they helped me to get to Poland last year, because upon their suggestion, I've found this loophole. That's another thing. The government lied to us, telling us that we can't leave the country. We could. There was a way to do it. And I even called I know I'm changing the subject a little bit, but this is the broader context. I've even called the Ministry of Health of Canada last year, and they were not able to give me any law that would forbid us to leave the country or to board a plane. It was merely basically the policies.
Just when I thought I was all done with halls, I got sick. Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Welcome back to BitChute. Welcome back to Rumble. Welcome back to Free Speech. Welcome to my bug. I can't believe it. I actually caught something. I guess I was a little bit overdue. I catch bugs very few, infrequently, and in between. The last time I caught a bug, it was 2008. And I think they were calling it swine flu was supposedly going around or something. They give these bugs these dreaded names, but in all reality, it's just simply the flu. Sometimes every now and then it ramps up its A game. You know, don't get me started, because if you really want to know, outside of Wuhan gain of function, okay, if you really want to know why the flu ramps up its game, it's just simply matching everything that you do with those ridiculous flu shots. And I'm talking about before the experimental injection, before the COVID injections, okay? I often wondered, you know, of the people who ended up getting sick, were they a habitual flu shot taker? You know, were they one of these people that got flu shots every year? Hey, I wondered about a lot of things. But anyway, yeah, so I apologies if the throat sounds a little weird. Actually, you know what? I think it's back to normal. Well, I actually wanted to do a video while I was still kind of sick. I don't know. Can you guys hear it? Is it? I don't know. It is the 27th. Is today Tuesday or is today Wednesday? I don't know. Isn't that sad? I don't know what day it is. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. And my symptoms, the 23rd, Friday, about 7 o'clock at night, I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it kind of left my throat a little raspy. I'm like, I don't got any nut allergies. What's going on here? So I was thinking, well, maybe the peanut oil is triggering a little GERD or whatnot. So I popped an omeprazole, and the next day, Saturday morning, I woke up, throat straight up sore throat. So strep throat, most likely. Strep throat. And I think, was it that day or later that day, or maybe Sunday the 25th? I'm looking at my calendar over here. I don't know if I would call it a fever. I felt a little warm and flush. Do I look flush? I don't know. I felt a little warm and flush, so I might have been running a very low-grade fever, and I wouldn't call it chills, but I do know that it took a lot of effort to get out from under the covers of the bed, because the ambient air in the home, you know, in my house, it just felt exceptionally cool, you know, except even though the temperature is still the same and whatnot, but it just felt particularly cold. So there you go. I caught a bug, and tried in true fashion. Praise be to God. My immune system that God has given me, well, it did what it was designed to do. What did I do? I got my halls, and I was little Motrin. Little Motrin for the fever, for the low-grade fever, and for the soreness. It got, you know what? It got into, does that happen to anybody else? In your finger, the joints in your fingers? And although I always have low back pain and hip pain, so it's really hard disseminating between, flu aches from orthopedic aches because it just all blurs together. But one thing that I did do, what do you call this stuff? Peroxide. Squirt a little in the old mouth there. 96-cent peroxide. Got a little quart of peroxide, 96 cents, $1. And you just gargle with it. You gargle in it and it foams. You can tell that it's drawing the infection out. It just draws and it gets really white and foamy, and then you spit it out. Don't swallow peroxide. Don't do that. I have heard some people will take small capfuls as a laxative. I wouldn't recommend doing it. I would not use it outside of its stated written intent on the packaging. Anyway, so yes, people. What was it David Pakman said? Because it hasn't happened to you. Well, it's happened to me. I mean, well, this is the first time, what was that, 2008? So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years. That's pretty damn good, And before that, I think somewhere in the mid-90s, 95 maybe, I had like a respiratory cough. And actually what sent me to the ER room was sky-high blood pressure. I went heavy on the over-the-counter cough medicine. I didn't know that it would raise your blood pressure like that. So that was the only reason why I ended up at the hospital, because it was like my eye was about to explode. My blood pressure was so high. And before that, like I told you guys, 1990, 1990 was a doozy. Okay, that whatever it was I caught in 1990, it must have been the mother of all inoculations, because like I said, I haven't had any kind of real problems since then. Again, praise God. God keeps me in good health, and I thank him for that. So I don't know, can you hear it? It's like so anyway, yes, poor Jacob. We opened up with some rebel news. That was Alexa Lavoie. She was reporting Jacob's story. Tell me that entire snippet did not just make your blood run cold. I mean, ice cold. Forget about the flu giving you chills. That story will make your blood run cold. I mean, I don't think it is a product of paranoia if you are thinking that after his arriving home, yes, because he is uninjected. He didn't take the injection because he found his loophole. I believe his profile is tagged. Like how when you run a person's name and they come back either with felons or warrants or, a rap sheet, if you will. Yes, I think an injection rap sheet is now being attached to people. I think this is even beyond Canada. I think it's here in America. I'm sure the deep state, the operatives here in America, they have me listed as a COVID rejecter. By the way, I don't want to go too off topic, but you know that a couple videos ago where I was talking about how the economy and how it's all held together, it's all fake, and I'm doing so good with my little credit rebuilding. My credit score was 643. After making that video, yes, the deep state, they wanted to flex their power and punish me for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It dropped, oh God, I can't do the math, but it's now down to 602, whatever the math is. So what is that, 40 something? I guess I lost 40 something points, 41 points. Yeah, 41 points. Why? Where did it, what has happened? Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. Okay. Now, after X amount of time, it'll probably jump back up, maybe another 10. That's what it does. It's this little heartbeat. I don't know if I can find if I can take a screenshot of it, I'll put it up here. My little heartbeat thing. It goes up, it never ever gets above 650. And that's the, the deep state is taking special care to make sure that I am never classified as a citizen with good credit. My credit is always listed as, it's fair. What do you mean it's fair? I pay my bills probably better than anyway. But yeah, so although in all fairness, in all honesty, my water bill, it is now $170 in the red. It basically stays there. I pay the 30 some dollars a month now, but soon as I can put off the lawn till maybe June, but as soon as I start paying to have the lawn cut, something that I wanted to do myself, I'd like to buy a lawnmower so I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. But once I start paying to have the lawn cut again, then that means I won't be able to pay the water bill any longer. And that means that by the end of the summer, by October rolls around, I'll probably be over $300 behind in my water bill because I can't pay both at the same time. Remember, this is something that Joe Biden's economy, this is the COVID grift. Okay? They destroyed the supply chain, collapsed everything, sent inflation spiraling out of control, turned on the printing presses, started handing out all this free everything, and now they just simply walk away. Oh, well, I'm sure you peasants you'll figure something out. And that's basically what the people at the, there's a program here in New Jersey. I won't get into a whole story, but from the looks of it, they deliberately just simply didn't want to help me personally, particularly. My name is probably known down at the State House, the New Jersey State House, and things like that, to not help this one. This guy, don't help this guy. This is scary that we're starting to pick up rap sheets. We're being listed, we're being labeled, anti-vaxxer, dissenter. Of course, they'll probably want to use the term misinformation, disinformation, despite the fact that we turned out to be right about everything. What was it, like a little over a year ago? Somebody at the, I want to say Atlantic, not Atlantic, I think it was the New York Times maybe. So one of these left-wing trash rags, they actually came out with an article saying that something to the effect, I don't want to quote exactly, but it was something to the effect that how it's dangerous that the right turned out to be right about COVID, how that's actually dangerous. So it's like, what do you mean we were right? So you admit that we were right, but that somehow that's dangerous? And how the right, anyway. Poor Jacob. Let's get back to talking about Jacob, So, like I said, honestly, I don't really care about the credit score. It's, honestly, people, start taking care of yourself physically and financially. Start getting your money out the banks. I hate to say that, but just, it really doesn't make a difference. Seeing as how they're going to falsify, slander us, then just get your money out the banks, if there's not going to be an accurate reflection of the economy or your own personal finances, like I say, the only bills that I'm delinquent in is created by the government themselves. I was doing just fine. I wasn't behind on any of my bills, but collapsed supply chain, inflation, can't afford everything. You gave us the extra food stamps, but then you took away the extra food stamps. However, the inflation remains. Okay, the inflation remains, and well, it's really basic math, like fourth grade math, right? So poor Jacob. Let's get back to talking about Jacob. Poor guy. How creepy is that? Straight out of 1950s KGB. I do. I seriously believe that upon his arrival, what could, for lack of a better term, the secret police was dispatched to his residence. I know what makes it sound so crazy is total control. Come on. These cops got better things to do than just simply babysit some address of a guy who didn't want to take an injection. You would think that they would have better things to do, but apparently not. Because that's exactly what happened, and it wasn't just to Jacob. Like he said, they even created new infrastructure, new technology, license plate scanner. Your name is now attached to your vehicle, to your home, to your everything. Definitely bank account. So your name is attached to all this stuff that law enforcement. Why do the cops now have access to your medical records? This is, again, but see, fake pandemic. All of a sudden, HIPAA goes away. There's no medical privacy. No. Because there's a pandemic. It's so serious. Oh, okay. What was that, Trudeau? That whole Sky Palace? That they were, like I say, it wasn't just Newsom with his French Laundry bullshit. They were up there in Canada on their Sky Palace, and oh my goodness, luxury meals. Like I say, rules for thee, but not for me. Okay? They're destroying people. They're taking away your constitutional rights or your charter rights for this. If my camera was better, I would, or if I had a tongue depressor. If I had a tongue depressor, I would depress my tongue and put it right up to the camera so that you could see my red throat. But I think you can imagine a red throat, okay? Because that's literally all it was. Oh my goodness! I got those ridiculous so-called COVID tests. I would never stick one inside my body in any of my orifices, but I bet if I were to spit on one, it'd be like, "Yep, COVID positive." What do you mean COVID positive? It's just strep throat, touch of the flu, achy muscles. My eyeball sockets were achy. It felt like my eyeballs were strained, like I sprained my eyebrows. Blah, blah, blah. It felt like I sprained my eyeballs. There you go. It felt like I sprained my eyeball. If I looked around too quick, then it'd be like, ow. I was, what was it? It was, like I said, I don't know if I'd call it wasn't like a full-on fever, and it wasn't teeth-clattering chills either. I was sitting in my recliner. I had my, I don't even have it on anymore. It's back there on the recliner. I had the hoodie on earlier today, but, the last of whatever it was, it's just gone. Like I said, I wanted to do this video sooner because I know my immune system, it works so fast that it wasn't going to be here for very long. And I did. I want to be honest with you guys. I do get sick. I'm not indestructible. I did pick up a bug somewhere, somehow. Look at me. I'm about to change subjects again. I'm going to get back to what I was saying. Poor Jacob. I'm not going to forget about Jacob. they say that because I've lost, the weight. Uh, they say that there are toxins or something like that. That when you lose weight, stuff that's been stored in fat, that I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but. And one of the things that I'll say, but this might sound weird, I'm kind of glad that I picked up a bug. Um, I don't like to take my blessings for granted. My immune system. Like I said, it's been 16 years, and I guess I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't just a teensy bit scared. These past few years, I was like, is it still there? Is it still super strong? So I'm glad that my immune system got a little workout, It got a little bit of a workout, and I'm glad that it did. It lets me know that it's still there and that it still has the power to fight off bugs with God's help, with God's grace. So, what do you call it? Poor Jacob, KGB, sitting surveillance. It sounds outrageous. It sounds crazy. Like the RCMP, they would have better things to do, but apparently not. They were waiting for him to come out. They probably had it calculated that what they call an anti-vaxxer has a high probability of violating their so-called quarantine. And when he did, what were you trying to make it seem like? I think I'll just randomly start running plates. That it was just a coincidence that the cop was right there. And a coincidence that the cop, out of all the vehicles on the road, I'm going to choose your plate. I'm going to choose your plate to run. Oh, on the computer. You're breaking quarantine. Why would a police computer be linked to anything to do with your personal health records? Why? Like I say, forget the flu. This will make your blood run cold. This is some scary shit. I'm telling you, like I say, forget the credit score. Forget all that shit. You know what? Have a cutting up party. Isn't that what they call them? Cut the credit card. Cut all that shit. Just cash and carry. Cash and carry. Anyway, there's a lot more I could say, but I'm gonna wrap this up. I try to keep my episodes short. This was just simply an update letting you know that I was a touch under the weather because it happens so incredibly rare and infrequently. What was it? I think they said that because there's going to be a North American was it a solar eclipse? Yeah, solar eclipse. Yeah, solar. I forget exactly when, or has it already happened? But the point is, they said that it won't happen here again in the North American comment, that a total eclipse will not be viewable on the North American continent again since until 2044. So am I now good and not to get sick again until like what? The next time I have to worry about it, there'll be an eclipse. Ooh, sounds kind of ominous, right? Okay, guys. Just chiming in, giving you a little bit of an update. Keep fighting, Don't panic. Just use your objective reality, because what the deep state keeps trying to do, they keep getting back to poor Lucas here. Before I forget, I'll wrap up his story. The reason why Lucas had Jacob, I can't say Lucas. The reason why Jacob was having trouble, and why so many others had trouble here in America and other places when fighting these crazy, unreasonable mandates, the reason why you end up losing or keep losing, or you can't get the court victories, but before they'll give you a victory, they'll just simply toss your case out, which is very much indeed probably is about what's going to happen here with Jacob. They'll probably just toss his case out. They will not allow him. There will be no precedent setting whatsoever. None. They'll toss it out first. Okay? And what people kept doing is that they kept trying to bargain, you know. They keep allowing the deep state to wrangle them into, you know, like they'll start arguing over who is vulnerable to it, who is this, you know. Stop, because I think they were saying, what was it, Dr. Phil? He was on The View, and Whoopi, the paid shill that she is, and she, you know, are you saying no kids died of COVID? No healthy ones. It's a shame that Phil couldn't come right out and say that. Okay. Every last single child that died supposedly of COVID, these are all sick children. Okay. Straight up Children Miracle Network material. I hate to say it like that, but that's what it was. The children were already terminally ill. Okay. And I think they just said, there was here in America, 2 or 3, or did they say New York or whatever? I was listening to a news segment earlier today. I think it was, was it yesterday's nightly news or the day before? Whatever. They rattled off a couple of pediatric deaths. Again, they say from the flu. They weren't saying COVID, but they were saying flu A and B. And again, I told you they're going to dovetail COVID with the flu. I said that like 3 years ago, that they're going to start dovetailing this thing, because they know they can't keep up this scam forever where it's all just COVID. You know, they're going to start dovetailing, and that's exactly what they're doing. But see, here's the thing that they are hoping that you just simply won't remember. Children have always died. It's always sick, you know. People have died. It's just, why? Who? For what reason? You know, why does it affect you more than me? You know, see, there are all these things that you could say. But the point is that none of it comes close to being pandemic level. I'm sorry, but you cannot separate people away from their constitutional right just because of this teensy microscopic speck of the population. I'm sorry. Okay? You can't do that. Life goes on. I mean, good Lord. We wouldn't have the society that we do today. Isn't there a saying? Yeah. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. That's the saying. So, we do our best to keep everybody safe. I'm not saying to be just a heartless bastard, but I'm sorry. You can't go Red Sun Superman and keep everybody bottled up in a bell jar, trying to protect everybody, protect them from themselves. Just stop. Stop. Life goes on. And there's going to be sorrow. That's just part of life. Okay? So there you go, people. KGB. American KGB. Canadian KGB. You know? So stop trying to bargain. Stop trying to argue. All you need to, because when Jacob was coming back in, oh, we need to know your I'm sorry, but HIPAA laws, my medical records are private, thank you very much. Okay? My medical records are private, they're none of your business. There is no pandemic. I mean, think about it. remember what the woman said at the desk when I was checking in at Cooper? Just put the mask in your hand. I mean, how Pavlov? You can't get any more Pavlov than that. Just accept it. Just because that's what they're trying to do. The deep state's trying to make these intermittent concessions. Okay, if you don't want to wear it, just do something that signals that you acknowledge there's a pandemic. Ooh, there you are with it in your hand. You're sitting down in the waiting room. The mask is in your hand. I think, what did I do? Here, I'll cut to some quick footage of it.
Today, yes. Tomorrow, no.
No, thank you.
Oh, you don't need one. Okay.
Thank you so much. Charles Dunbar, Amir's.
Charles Dunbar.
Yeah.
You
I-
have an appointment today?
Yes.
Oh, but then you need a mask.
No, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's the rule for today. I'm sorry. Tomorrow you don't need it, but today you do. As of tomorrow, we don't have to wear them. It's Cooper's rule, not mine.
Today you do, and tomorrow.
Well, we got an email that tomorrow they don't have to. They're going to stop it, but as of today, they still want everybody to wear one. So you can speak to the doctor when you go back, even if you want to hold it in your hand. Okay?
Okay. Well,
I can get you signed in, but I'll sign you in a minute on this gentleman right now, and then I'll take care of you. Is that okay?
I'd like to see the doctor. That's for sure.
Well, sure you are, but I said I have to sign him in first.
Oh, this gentleman's ahead of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get down here.
Oh. All right.
How are you?
Hi.
What's your last name?
Dunbar. Dunbar.
Because it'll serve me better.
Amir,
Correct. That's what I was trying to say.
everything's still the same? Address, phone number, and insurance?
Everything's the same.
Well, that was my.
All right, we'll check that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amir.
Yeah, that's what I did. I walked away from the mask. She pulled out of the mask box, set it on the counter, and the other woman said, "Oh, here, I'll check you in." And I just simply walked away from her, you know. I walked away from her. I walked away from her face diaper. And yeah, the doctor themselves didn't have a diaper on their face. I don't blame them. Anywho, oh, the doctor himself. You know what? I was gonna do this in a separate video, but what the hell? I'm gonna tack it on to the end of this video. So I am now closing out with Jacob, and we're gonna. You know what? Hold on a second. I have to adjust my back because my abdomen. I'm in a little bit of pain. Hold on one second. Orthopedic pain. Hold on. And we're back. Okay, so let's talk about Google's Gemini. Google Gemini. I'm sure it's been making the rounds. The ultra wokeness, and you know, who was it? I think even Chris Como. Have you noticed? Like, even though I caught a bug, even now I'm still not coughing. That's just how. Look at me. See how my mind has like 10 different windows open, like a computer. It's got all these different windows open, and I run all these different thoughts simultaneously. But that's how bad that aorta was. How much fluid it was leaking that Dr. Corbett didn't want to acknowledge. You know, there was a significant risk of dissection, aortic dissection. There was. And he seems to think that it's not so big of a deal. Hold on a second. Okay, so Google Gemini. Apparently, everybody in the world is now black. And of course, what have we been saying about the Great Replacement Theory? Now, if you've been following the Google Gemini scandal, and it is a scandal, all it does, number one, is that it confirms that everything that so many of us conservatives have been saying, it is indeed true. You know, I will say this. You know, if I can, you know, toss the left a scrap of a bone, I will admit that white supremacists and neo-Nazis, they talk about, it is one of their talking points. There you go. Replacement theory, it is indeed one of their talking points. However, what's that old saying? Even a stop clock is right twice a day. Just because a neo-Nazi, just because it just so happens to be one of the neo-Nazis' talking points, it doesn't make it untrue. It doesn't make it less valid. Okay, and who's this? They don't got license and registration on this talking point. The talking point can be, anybody's talking point. It doesn't necessarily just have to only be neo-Nazis. It's just simply true. Like I said, 2 years ago, I didn't have cable for decades. And all of a sudden, 2 years ago, I get my little internet TV here and I'm like, why is every commercial, black, brown, gay? What the hell? This is so weird. So anyway, that you already know, okay? That you already know. Here's one thing that I did want to point out to you. When I went to see Dr. Corbett, who is what I would call presumably, I'm not going to ask the man his sexual orientation, but when I went to go see Dr. Corbett a few days ago, he was the first, presumably, heterosexual white man that I interacted with. In, what did I say? I think it was 5 months, because I had a sleep study done, and I think that was somewhere in September, October. And the sleep technician was a white man. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's straight, although he may or may not be, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's straight. And before that, that would be Dr. DiMarsicchio. So that would be that. I went to see him I want to say, I don't know, maybe August or so. So the point, I have a challenge for you guys. What I want you to do, and it's sad because it's like, we're not supposed to be paying attention to race. We're really not. But what I want you to do, this is a challenge, okay? Make some sort of an earmark somewhere. Maybe if you got like a notepad somewhere, write down when you interact with a presumably heterosexual white man in the professional world. I mean, that doesn't got to be like a doctor or anything. Just really any. Okay. Now here are some examples. Now your family doesn't count. And the people you work with every day, they don't count, okay? Just as you go about life, the store, the market, pharmacy, doctor's office, especially the medical field, how long of a stretch in between heterosexual white men? Are heterosexual white men becoming unicorns? Are they becoming extinct? Are they becoming this thing of fiction, Because it's unicorns are mentioned in the Bible, which presumably means that once upon a time they existed, but, is that what straight white men are going to be? Unicorns? Things that once upon a time existed? Because my point here, when I talk about Google Gemini, we hear about how this computer program, this AI, is reshaping society, but it's digital, it's online. What I want you to do is start paying attention to your physical world. When you get into your car, when you drive out, when you went through the drive-through, who are we kidding? It's most likely going to be a woman of color. That's basically everything that you're going to be interacting with. All women of color. The working world is just being flooded and inundated with minority women. Okay? Or minority men, or transsexuals. If they're white, they're going to have multicolored hair and transsexualized, or non-binaried, or what have you. How long in between a regular, normal white man do you go? How many days go by? How many weeks? How many months? In my particular case, it took 5 months before I interacted with a presumably heterosexual white man. And then the clock starts all over again. I have not interacted with one yet. You know, I think I will be going by the pharmacy to get me meds. I know a white guy does work there. A white guy. Maybe he'll be there, maybe he won't, you know. Juxtaposed to all of the women, and I think there's a lot of course, South Asians and that work there. But yeah, what do you guys think? Why is it so difficult to come across a straight white man out in the physical world? Are they the new unicorn? Unicorn and KGB. That was today's episode. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I am already feeling much, much better. Like I say, praise be to the Almighty God. He looks out for me, and therefore I do my best to do His will. Ooh. Are you kidding me? I didn't even want to say it. No, I'm serious. You know, I said this a while ago about how people in like a lot of black churches and people who want to be seen, they call it shouting, and people who get up and pontificate and say that they say, "Oh, use me, Lord, use me, Lord. I wanna be your vessel, Lord, use me." And then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of weeks later, in church, they get up and in black church, they have things called testimony service, where we just get up and just give little short snippets about what's going on in our life. And next thing you know, for like the next couple of months, all this person ended up doing was saying how horrible their life is and how much they're suffering. But isn't that what you said you wanted? You wanted the Lord to use you. That's not always pleasant. Sometimes the Lord wants us to suffer. Don't ask me why. So that's why I say I'm very sheepish about saying things like facilitating the will of the Lord. Just a sinner saved by grace. You know, do I even know what His will is? I don't know. I'm this contradiction in terms. I'm a gay, black, Christian conservative. Go figure. You know, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Madeline Olingo, she quoted Shakespeare. She quoted Shakespeare quite a lot in A Wrinkle in Time. You know, let's see if I can remember it. How does it go? And for that, he was... No. She was saying a part of Shakespeare, I think it came from The Tempest, how God just uses how God uses things in this world that don't make sense to confound the wise. So it's not my place to figure these things out. You know what? That's why I say, let the wheat and the chaff grow together. God says He'll do the separating, and you know what? That is A-OK by me. That's a headache I don't want. I don't want to be responsible for saying who's good, who's bad, who's, you know, so God can do all that. I just simply do my best to remain His humble servant and to keep the ancient harmony. All right, people, that's it. Total Control 871.